Hey Copper Nerds, we're talking a little bit about this S-35 today. Been able to spend the day with it, and the more I looked at it, the more I realized that this big bisecting break that's going from north to south all the way through, there's some associated die sinking, which I'm familiar with from my other coins with die breaks. And when a die sinks, the surface of the coin in that corresponding region raises, which is why on the reverse on this one, you can plainly see that the middle's blown out because where the die collapsed in the middle, the surface of the coin bulged, and then in circulation, that high point is what wears off first. So that's what you're seeing there. But on the obverse of this very late die state S-35, we have some unusual things happening with that die sinking. It's sinking here and here on the right side of the break, but it was sinking here in the hair on the left side of the break. And so what I've done is put together some illustrations to show us that a little bit better. So you're watching the heavily edited and chopped up video right now of me trying to wrap my head around what's going on with this coin. It's making me crazy. So just enjoy the ride a little bit. Bear with me as I work through it. And again, please let me know if you reach different conclusions or if you think one of my hypotheses is better than the other, because this is really just a brain experiment to try and figure out what happened to this die. Let's start with this. So that is the same coin, and you can see, or you should be able to make out, this is higher than that. I don't know if you can see that yet, but you'll definitely see it in the picture that's coming up right now. And then another high point of the coin is here, because the die sunk here. So the coin struck up higher here, and this is the low side. I mean, there's literally a ridge in a wall if you look at the surface of the coin, and you'll see that better in this photo here. But then in the middle, where we have sinking in these two regions, which make the surface of the coin higher here and lower here, we have the opposite in the middle. The hair details have sunk here, but on this side we have a low point with a ridge, and you'll see that picture here. So what that means is that when the die fractured, it didn't just fracture and sit there. What we have was the die sunk on the ends and on the middle on these two sides. And the resulting coin surface is kind of like that, which is hard to show with two pieces of paper. So I put this together, and what I'm able to do is sort of lift up here and here to illustrate that, as well as here. And that's really what the surface of the coin looks like. When you look at it from this side, you can see those ridges there and there. And when you look at it from this side, you can see that little ridge in the hair right there. So it's a pretty interesting dynamic that I guess I haven't seen with dies before. I've usually seen them just, shift and offset on one side, but I've never seen where it's gone from one side to the other side with sinking, and then in the middle and on the other side of the die is sunk as well. So it's a pretty unusual thing that's depicted on this S-35, and I would assume on most late die state S-35s. So here's one more possibility for what we might be seeing going on with that die. Let's say the left side just stayed flat and true. Nothing changed. On the right side, if we had that sinking of the die, which resulted in the raised surfaces of the coin, it could be that the middle portion buckled a little bit. And when we raise these up, if when the die sunk and the center buckled or bulged, we could have gotten that sort of an effect. It'd be the same net effect with all of the deformity happening on the right side of the die and then on the surface of the coin. And the more I think about it, I think that is probably the better description for what was going on. So of course, another illustration of what we were just looking at is that, assuming again that this left half stayed true and flat, and that we had the die sinking around the outside being here and here, and that as a result there was a little bit of a buckle in the center of the right side of the die, it would again give us that same diagnostic where we have the ridge caused by that dropping here on this side while these ends lifted up, right? It gets us the same thing. And the other thing that we see is that there's a little offset here from where this is shifted that way, right? You can see that the bust line stair steps up there. And it's hard to find a good reference up here to see if there's any associated offset up here. I looked under a loop. I can't find anything that's real helpful. But what I think is that when you had this action like that, it's going to shorten the distance from here to here, because instead of being flat, it's slightly bent, right? So I think that explains that slight offset. I mean, we're talking fractions of millimeters perhaps, but I think we have that little bit of offset here, and you can see it there, steps up. So I think that the best explanation probably is that the dies sunk on the outsides, and then that buckled slightly the center, which gave us that little bit of a gap. Rather than the hair die having sunk as well, I think we had sinking on either end here, and then a little bit of a buckle there as a result. I would certainly appreciate your thoughts if you have any other insights as to what might be going on with that die. Those are just my observations. And I will look forward to discussing it with you more in the comments. And I will catch you on the next one. Cheers.